Hey guys, welcome to the Red Interview, and today we are joined with the lovely. Please say your name.
Colleen O'Shaughnessey.
I'm sorry, I do not want to butcher that.
That's okay. I know there's lots of extra letters.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure there's a Z in there somewhere. Alright, and she is very popular with the voice acting community. At least I think so. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't really know. Um, if you guys know of Danny Phantom, she voiced Jazz, one of the lead one of the lead female protagonists. She plays Tails on Sonic Boom. She plays a bunch of different things. I mean, she's big. Whoa. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
That's very kind of you.
Am I too loud for?
I listed like two of your roles. Could you go ahead and list a few more of the roles that you've done over the years?
Sure. I played Wasp on Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I don't know if you have anime fans out there, but I've done a fair amount of anime. I'm on Naruto and Bleach and the Glitter Force. I'm so bad at remembering all my stuff.
I will
But
literally. Oh, sorry, ma'am.
Digimon. I'm Sora on Digimon. I have a new show that's actually on YouTube. It's called Hanazuki, and I play these little crazy rabbity looking guys called Hemkas, and I'm a yellow one and a red one, and I speak no words. I only do gibberish. It's actually quite fun. Sort of like Minions meets the emotion guys from Inside Out. But I've done a ton of video games and commercials and um, animated features. I was in Toy Story 3 and Cars and Horton Hears a Who, Spirited Away. Yeah.
You know, very, very small things that probably no one would hear about. Like, nobody has any idea what Toy Story 3 is.
Now I know it's very obscure
Yeah, yeah.
thing.
It's so random. Like, what's Toy Story 3 again?
Well, this
Yeah.
little company called Disney did it.
Yeah, a little company. They have, like, I don't know, a small amount of people. I think, like, 100 or 100 million. You know, small amount. I will literally link down her IMDb page because I know English, but IMDb, yeah, I can't even say it again. I'll list down a bunch of her credits down below on IMDb.
It's a tongue twister. It's not an easy one to say.
It really
I
isn't.
IMDb.
Well, see, if you say it slow, that's much easier.
It is much easier.
And she has a list. I mean, my dad knows about my YouTube stuff, and I'm like, when he asks who I'm gonna interview, and I say like small people, um, and I'm like, hey dad, you want to know who I'm interviewing today? And he's like, I guess so. So I popped up your page, and I'm like, oh, just I list a few, and I go, holy crap, she's in a lot more than I thought she was.
Aw.
I mean, it's huge. I actually talked to who did I interview last? I interviewed the voice of Spider Woman from Marvel Avengers Academy.
Ah.
I can't remember what her name is. Daisy Guevara. That's what it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever talked to her or something or had a thing with her before, but she's great. She's really nice.
Nice. I have found that pretty much across the board, voiceover people are amazing. I'm so lucky to do what I do because not only do I get to, have this awesome job, but the people I work with are amazing. And pretty much everyone they're nice and they're funny and they're kooky and weird and awesome.
Yeah. Now, do you have? I don't know. I know some people don't have, but do you have a list of your top three favorite roles?
Top three favorites. Well, the very first role I ever did, which this one will be obscure probably for most people, I was on a show called The Kids from Room 402. It was my very first show, and my character's name was Polly McShane, and she was really loud and ridiculous, and she collected spoons. And she's my absolute favorite. She's just so weird and awesome, and so she was my absolute favorite. And then, gosh, after that, I loved playing jazz. That was so much fun working with Butch and all of those people, and she was a great character. I absolutely adored playing Wasp. I loved being a superhero. That was amazing. But I love Tails too. He's so smart and fun, and that was an amazing experience working with all of those people too. It's hard to pick favorites. I feel like they're all like a little piece of me. So.
Now, I want to say this flat out. In the whole Sonic franchise, Tails is my favorite character.
Ah.
So, to hear that I'm talking to Tails would make my little childhood die on the inside. It's like, ah! I mean, literally, that is how big of a fan I am. Honestly, I think he's awesome. Brother Sonic, I'm Tails. I mean, yes, please.
It's been really fun to be part of that whole thing. The show is amazing. The games are super fun, and like I said, the people are amazing. Have you watched Sonic Boom?
I have. Now, at first
Yeah.
I didn't really like it due to the cheesiness of it. Like, let's be honest, it's really cheesy.
Which is what I love about it. I think it's hilarious. We read the scripts and I laugh out loud. Yeah. The writers are awesome.
Yeah. I actually follow one of the writers on Twitter, and when he shows their screenshots of his writing, I go, "Oh my word!" Like, that is legitimately funny. Like when they break the fourth wall or whenever, he is legitimately funny when he wants to be.
Is it Alan?
I think so. Yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah.
He's great.
A funny guy.
So yeah, there's that, and I'm a huge fan of Tails. So yeah.
Yay.
Now, do you have any least favorite roles you've done?
Gosh, I don't know if I have a least favorite. That's a good. No one's ever asked me that before.
Now this this is kind of. I just wrote down a bunch of questions and they're not in a list, so I'm gonna go off of the topic real quick. So you've posted on Twitter about how you have 2 kids, and your IMDb page says you have 2 kids and a husband. How do you juggle that and voice acting?
Well, that's one of the great things about voice acting is most of the time you're not there for the longest an animation session typically will run is 4 hours. So I can kind of make my schedule work. Now, when I was doing, say, for example, when I was working on Sonic Boom, we met I think it was Wednesdays. We did Wednesdays from 9 to 1, I think. So every Wednesday I had that, or every other Wednesday, or whatever the schedule was. So I knew, okay, that Wednesdays pretty much don't plan anything else, or I can't do a kid thing that day. But it's pretty easy to work your schedule around that. Typically they're either 9 to 1 or 2 to 6. And my husband and I sort of tag team. I'm the one that picks the kids up from school. Yeah. But if I need him to, he can. And I also have a mother-in-law that helps out quite a bit. So we just juggle it from week to week. We just figure out. And I try to schedule things around dropping off and picking up kids and dance class and whatever else. But that's the great thing about it is you kind of can, and I've worked it out so that I can. Sometimes you're stuck and you just have to go when they say to go. But other times you say, hey, can we do it at 10:30 instead? And a lot of the time it works out that way. So super lucky.
Okay. What I should have done before I got into that question and showed you guys an image I got from your Twitter. That is a bunch of rules. Your Twitter wallpaper thingy. I just screenshotted it. That is all the...
Okay.
Is that the Zula Patrol? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
You were on Zula Patrol.
Yeah. I was Peter and Lizzie.
Boy, I remember watching that show. That's awesome.
I love that you know that show. That was really fun. I loved that show.
Dude,
I learned a lot. I learned a lot about space.
Yeah. Oh, I love watching on Hulu. Not on Hulu. On what was it called? I don't know. I couldn't remember that was Zula Patrol or something else. But that's cool. That's honestly really cool.
PBS, not PBS.
No, it was on some other. It was like Ion Television. It was like one of the secondary Ion Television channels.
I don't even know what that is. I've never heard of Ion.
They played Psych.
Oh, cool.
I don't know if you know what Psych is. How is it working? Like you had said that you really like working with Butch Hartman. So how was that experience? How did you meet him? How did you get in first contact with him?
So I think the first day I met Butch was a lot of TV shows, like if you're doing an on-camera television show, you'll have everyone will come in and you do what's called a table read. So they'll take the episode, and you'll literally sit around a table and everyone will read their part as we go, and then somebody will read the stage directions. Typically for animation, that doesn't happen. There isn't usually a table read, and I very distinctly remember having that for Danny Phantom because it was so unusual. You just don't typically have that. So that was the first time I met Butch. Was the day we went into Nickelodeon and we did a table read of the first episode, and they gave us posters that he had signed, and it was it was so great to meet him. He's just such a great, he's so talented, he's so funny, but he's also a really good person. He's just so nice and lovely, and I can't say enough good things about him. So that was the first time I met him, was at the table read for Danny Phantom. During the audition process, I had not met him.
I'm not exactly positive how the voice acting realm works, so if I say something that doesn't exactly work, correct me on it. Don't take mine as fact.
Okay.
If you know what I mean, like if I say something like, so this is how it works, and you're like, well, no, it works differently. You know what I mean?
No problem.
Okay, so with the voice acting, with the directors of the jobs and stuff, like the people who tell you, we want a higher pitch volume, we want a lower, how does that work exactly?
So do you mean when you're actually doing the job, or do you mean
when you're auditioning for the role? Before
All right,
you
so when we audition, my agent will send me copy. She'll email it to me, and most of the time these days, I do most of my auditions in my closet. So what they'll do is they'll send a character description. Lots of times there's a picture. For me, I prefer to have a picture. That helps me get a better sense of the character if I see a picture of the character. So they may or may not have a picture, but then they'll have a description. So, female, 18 to 22, and then they'll give like a character description of, some characteristics. She's feisty, she, is scrappy, she doesn't take no for an answer. And then sometimes they'll give you a little bit about what kind of voice they're looking for. If they want, we want a little bit of rasp in her voice, or we don't want any rasp, or sometimes they'll be specific like that, or they'll say, be like so and so from blah 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 show, that kind of idea. And then I'll go from there, and I'll take all those notes, and I'll figure out what I interpret that character to be, and then I'll record it in my closet, and I'll send it off to my agents and cross my fingers and hope for the best. Now sometimes I'll have questions, and so if something is unclear, I'll call my agent and say, so do you think they mean this or that? And then they'll either call the casting person and say, hey, what's up with this part of it? Do you mean this? Do you mean that? Sometimes they want an accent, sometimes they don't. So sometimes they'll send, 2 different takes, one with, one without. And then you just wait to hear. So then when you do book the job and you go in and you're working on it, lots of times they'll play your audition and they'll say, this is what we loved. And then sometimes they'll say, we love this part of it, but can you add a little bit more of this? Can you take a little of that away? Can you give her this or give her that, or him? Sometimes they play boys. And then it's so collaborative. You kind of flush out the character as you work on the show or game or whatever thing that is that you're working on.
Now question: did you go to college for voice acting, or what did you go to college for? I know these questions are out of nowhere, and I'm sorry they're so random, but
I went to the University of Michigan for musical theater. I actually got 2 degrees. I got a BFA in musical theater and a BA in psychology. And originally my idea was I liked working with older people, and I always sang. There was always music in my house growing up, and I loved musical theater. So I thought, I don't know that I want to do musical theater for a living, but I want to incorporate music into whatever it is that I do. So I thought I would be a music therapist, and I'll get the psychology degree, I'll get my musical theater degree, and then I'll go to grad school and be a music therapist. And then I thought, oh my gosh, I'm so tired of school. I don't want to do this anymore. And at the end of my senior year, somebody heard me doing a voice at the end of a class, and they were like, was that you? And I'm like, sorry. And they're like, no, you need to do voiceover. And it was the first time I had heard that word. I mean, I always watched cartoons. I always, you know, the Muppets and Wonderful World of Disney and all that stuff. And but it just didn't occur to me that, oh my gosh, that was somebody's job and that's something that I could do. So I started looking into it, and I was like, oh my God, that's like my dream job. So I came out to LA, and kind of the rest is history. I mean, I just, kind of worked my butt off until I made it happen. So this was not the original plan, but it ended up being what I was kind of meant to do, because it's just the best job ever. I love it.
Now, a question: as a voice actor, do you rather it be called voice over or voice acting?
It doesn't bother me either way. It's funny because I was sort of new to I've only been doing the Twitter thing for a little over a year. I noticed that like a lot of people put VA, and I'm like, VA, what? I'm like, oh, voice actor. Okay. So
Yeah.
for me, it doesn't, either way, it doesn't matter to me.
I might edit this part out, but but no. So you had mentioned conventions. How often do you do conventions? Do you do it as a voice? Do you do it as a guest? What do you do? Do you do it as a guest of honor? What do you do conventions as?
Whenever I've gone, I've been a guest. Sometimes it's like I did one in Green Bay over the summer, Green Bay, Wisconsin. And they had a number of Digimon people because they wanted to do a big Digimon panel. So we were all there as, we all had our own other things too that, because we all pretty much do everything. But this one was specifically an anime convention, and they were highlighting Digimon. So most of the guests that were voiceover people had something to do with Digimon. But I've also been there just as a guest, just because it was just me. So I don't do that many. I would like to do more. I'm starting to do more. It's the same thing with the social media thing. Like, I do have kids, and so my weekends are special to me. I want to spend them with my kids, and I want to, take the time to figure out my house and what's going on and all that stuff. So it's hard for me to be away. But now my kids are a little bit older, and they're pretty self-sufficient, pretty independent. So I can go away for a weekend, and so I would like to do more. But I do get called as a guest, which is lovely. And every time I've gone, it's just been so much fun. The fans are amazing. Everyone is so nice, and I feel like it's overwhelming sometimes because, I feel like, oh, I'm just this person, and I'm just a mom, and I have this awesome job, but, they really just roll out the red carpet and treat you so well, and it's really lovely.
Yeah, honestly, like, I know if I was in the shoes of, the guest, I'm not gonna be like, oh, cool, yay, but, like, I mean, honestly, that'd be so cool. Like, I think as in your shoes, it's so cool that you go to these panels as the voice acting. I'm like, it's just normal job, and they're like, no, you're awesome, and you're like, okay.
It's really nice, and the things that people come up and say, and we'll be at our tables, and they're like, you were just, that makes me feel so good. It's so nice to have been a part of somebody's, their memories, their fond memories of their, of growing up and stuff. It's kind of neat to be a part of that.
I could definitely say your fond memory. Hold on, let me rephrase that. The voice acting you did and the roles you've done is definitely a fond memory of mine. So there is that.
Ah, well, good.
So honestly, it is a blast talking to you, and I'm gonna keep doing it. But yeah, be cool. Now a question: Have you done any acting, or has it just been voice acting?
Well, see, now you just said voice acting. What's the second word in that? Acting.
Well, now see,
we voice actors get a little offended when people say, "Have you done like?" People will say, "Have you done real acting?"
Oh, no, that's not what I was trying to say.
No, I know. I'm not saying that you're. I know you don't.
I try to avoid that.
But have I done on-camera things? A little bit, not too much. When I first moved to LA, I wanted to do everything, but it's hard to, if the acting world is, well, you can't see my hands, but I'm making a ball with my hands. If it's this big, like it's a basketball, then the voiceover world is like a baseball. It's a much smaller community. There's not as many of us, although our numbers are growing, but it's a kind of a specialized thing that we do. So it's hard to split your focus and do both, because if you're doing on camera, you have to be all over that and on top of that, and with casting directors and all that, and building up your reel and da. So I kind of had to choose at one point. I kind of had to say, you know what, I gotta put all my focus on one thing. Every once in a while, I'll still go out for commercial auditions on camera, but I don't, and I don't miss it. I'm really okay with that. I get more stressed out when I'm like, oh, it matters what I look like. I got to do my hair. I got to make sure I'm wearing the right thing, and that stresses me out. Or for voiceover, it doesn't matter. I could wear sweatpants.
I could walk into work in my pajamas.
Exactly, I could. I went into a session. I saw Matt Mercer, and he came in his jammies. It was great. I'm like, oh, you look so comfortable.
Who is Matt Mercer?
Did you just say who's Matt Mercer? Oh,
I am really bad with names. Now, if you say a role, I might know who you're talking about.
Gosh, honestly, I don't know all the things that he is known for, but I know he does a ton of video games. He's are you familiar with Critical Role? All the VO people that play D&D?
No.
Dungeons.
I know what D&D is, but no.
Honestly, I could not give you his resume at all.
Here,
but
I will look him up.
He's got a bazillion followers.
What's he called again?
Matt Mercer.
Alright, Merce.
Mercer. I'm positive your listeners will know who he is.
Honestly, I am pretty sure I hear like a few complaints in the Matt. Look. Yeah, I'm gonna work on this as well as I'm gonna keep talking with you because.
Anyway, he came into a session wearing like loungy pajama pants. I mean, because it doesn't matter. So.
Oh yeah, that's why I was trying to avoid. Yeah, I'm not seeing him. Maybe I'm misspelling him somehow, but I'm not. Yeah. I wasn't trying to say the word of real acting because voice acting is real acting. I mean, without voice acting, you wouldn't have tons of things.
Right.
I mean, cartoons, video games. Well, you can still have video games, but you wouldn't have, like, talking video games. Animated movies, and you wouldn't have a lot of stuff. So, yeah, it's real acting. But, yeah. So, how long have you been doing voice acting? I mean, you said since you moved to LA, but what year was that? Right. So you said you moved. Yeah, you said you moved in '95. So that was like what, almost 20 years ago?
It was more than 20 years ago. Yeah. So I moved here more than 20 years ago, and so I think I was like officially working. I think it took me about maybe 2 years to book my first job.
So
I had like little nibbles here and there, but I think so it took me about 2 years to book my first thing. So.
And your first thing was that one-dimensional character, and the writing was awful, if I remember correctly.
No, my very first voiceover job was a reporter Barbie book. Do you remember those books where you pushed a button and the thing would talk?
Yeah, I still see those. They're Ollies.
Yeah, so it was one of those books. It was a reporter Barbie book, and I played Skipper, and I said, "It's fun to be a reporter," and that was my one and only line. And, that was my very first paying job, and then right after that is when I got The Kids from Room 402, where I played Polly, and then right after that was Digimon. Like, it was like boom, boom, boom.
Wow.
Right.
Now, question: do you ever talk to your kids in the animated voices ever?
I think sometimes they still come out. When my son was really little, he used to make me talk like characters at dinner. He was like, and I always would read to them, and do all kinds of different voices. I actually had friends with kids my kids' age, and they were like, "No, you're not allowed to read to them because then I can't do what you did. You'll just have to come over every night." So, now that you're familiar with Zulu Patrol, he used to make me be Zeter at dinner sometimes.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
That
So,
is
a lot of
legitimately
people
cool.
I know, though, their kids are like, "Can you just talk normal?" Jeez. But my kids are pretty cool about it.
No,
They don't.
talking normal is boring. She's a voice actor.
I know. See, they just don't appreciate it.
I mean,
Mine do, though. My
if
kids.
I got tails, I'd be coming up to you every 5 minutes. I mean, that is legitimately what? No. So, oh, sorry. You gonna say something? Or?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Is there any dream role? Any dream role you've always wanted?
I can't think of a specific role, but my dream job in voiceover is to sing a character in a Disney film, like the next Moana or the next whatever.
Frozen. Yeah.
That's my ultimate dream, which probably won't happen because they always go with celebrities. So.
Hey, you're a celebrity. Like, honestly.
You know, it's always celebrities.
Seen the list of yours? Seen the list of other people? Yeah, they're about the same size.
I know, but that's just the nature of the beast. Yeah. What are you gonna do? But that is my ultimate. I've always wanted to. I want a big part on an animated feature, and I get to sing.
No, I don't know if this is a rude question to ask, but I'm honestly curious, and if it comes across rude or whatever, I'll delete the question. But what's the most money you've gotten for a role? And what was that role?
Well, we pretty much, most voiceover people, we make the SAG minimum, whatever the day rate is at the time. Uh-huh. So every once in a while, if you're on a show that is successful, it will you'll get like increases for the second season and the third season and things like that. But for the most part, we make just the daily average. So if you go on to this, if you called up SAG-AFTRA and said, "Hey, what's the day rate?" That's pretty much what we make.
So what would be the day rate then?
I don't, right now it fluctuates. It's like I don't know. Is this something that I should talk about? I don't know.
I mean, I see nothing wrong with it, honestly, but I don't see something wrong with a lot of things.
Well, we'll call it. It's like I think it's 900 and change.
Wow.
Right.
That's almost 1,000 per roll, like just for the one day.
But but that's the thing about it though, is you don't do that every day. Now, if you did that every day, then yeah, that's a lot of money. But if like we were talking about the video game, so you're making that one time. Yeah. And that's it for one video game, and then you don't have another one for a month or 2 months. It just depends on how Yeah. Your best bet is if you're on a show that meets every day, but then once that show's over, then you're done. Mm-hmm. If you do 13 episodes, which I'm not saying it is a great living, but most of us do not do that every single day.
Yeah, I understand.
So that's why we don't like to talk about that, because it sounds like, holy moly!
But in reality, it's really
millionaire.
Not that
bad. I am not a millionaire. I promise you.
Yeah. You have 2 kids. You ain't a millionaire.
Living in Los Angeles is very expensive.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Yeah. We do fine, but we're not,
Mm-hmm.
Not.
So, with you, okay, so you said your agent. Yeah, your agent. You know what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah, my agent.
Yeah, that. You said with your agent sends you roles and you do them. Do you ever seek out a role, or?
Not real. I mean, if I hear about something, I might I will call her and say, hey, I heard about this project. Can I get in on it? But for the most part, the casting directors send things out to the agents. And so, I'm in a great spot at my agency. If something comes across that's remotely in my wheelhouse, then I get to take a stab at it, which is a good place to be. Because there's other agencies where, like, a lot of times they'll say, hey, send us your top 5. And if you're not in that top 5, you don't even get to audition. So luckily I do. So I'm very lucky in that way.
Yeah. So, okay, another thing. So I saw. Okay, so I'm gonna let the audience know for a second. When you first picked up the call for Skype, you had done a webcam instead in the vocal thing like you're doing now. And behind you, I seen a bunch of merchandise for your previous voice acting stuff. Like I saw tails, I saw whatever. Do you have any merchandise that you've been given by the show, or do you buy that by yourself?
Some of it I buy myself. Some of it I've been given. Like I was given a few little tails stuffed animals, which I love. But then I have a couple little figurines that I bought myself at Target. So it's kind of half and half. Sometimes you get some swag, which you love, and sometimes you don't. And if you see it, you just have to get it yourself.
Yeah.
But I have been given posters and things. For a variety of things. I have a box in the garage that I actually should unearth and take some of those things out. But here and there, it just depends. And sometimes games will give you a copy of the game. But then if you don't have that system that it's on, you can't play it. But it's nice of them to give you the game.
Yeah. I mean, you worked on it. Why not get you a free copy then?
Sorry?
I said you worked on it. Why not get you a free copy, you know?
Yeah, that's nice. It is nice. And sometimes they'll ask. Sometimes they'll say, hey, do you have whatever? Do you have a PS3 or 4? Or what is it now? It's 4? They're up to 4 now.
It's 4.
Yeah, or, like I was given a copy of a game that was on GameCube, but I don't have a GameCube, so I couldn't play it. But my kids like that, too, because then, what do my son has a Switch? He's got a Switch. So if they ever have it on that version, I always ask for that. Or he's got a PS3. We haven't.
So I got a new role. All right, where's the new game?
Exactly. He's like, are you getting the whatever? Like the Mario game came out yesterday. I'm not on it, so I didn't get one. He really wants that one.
The Mario Odyssey, yeah.
Yeah.
But now, with the way you phrased with the agent and whatnot, was there a role you ever declined? Or no? I don't know if you ever declined a role, that's why I'm kind of asking.
I don't think so. Okay. If I had, I mean, nothing's really sticking out to me. I don't think so. Nah, I'll pretty much do anything. But that's the good thing about having an agent, because they can negotiate for you. And like I was talking about SAG minimums and stuff. Sometimes your agent can get you more than that. Sometimes you can get like double scale or whatever. But if there's ever something in there that she felt like they weren't being fair, she'll bring it up to me, and then we'll talk about it, and we'll say, okay, we'll do it for this or whatever. But I don't think I've ever turned anything down that I can recall. I do remember going back and forth with negotiations with some things, but
now, serious question: how would someone go about becoming a professional voice actor like yourself?
Wow.
Or is that too big of a question?
No, it's a process. It's a little bit different now than when I first started. It's actually a little bit better, I think, because you can get things to people so much easier now. Like you can record stuff at home. There's iPads, and it's a lot easier now. Technology is much more user friendly. I mean, back when I started, you had to go to a studio it's always better to have your demo professionally made. But if you don't have the money to do that, there are things you can do at home to put something together. So in that sense, it's easier. And you can email things, and you don't have to, deal with the postage and all that stuff. So I guess step one is take some classes. That's step one. I tell people, take acting classes, take improv classes, and do take voiceover classes, but specifically take acting classes. This goes back to before. Like, you have to be able to create well-rounded characters. You have to think in terms of character, not in terms of I make funny or weird voices. You can take weird voices and put them onto a character, but you have to think in terms of, okay, if this character was faced with this situation, how would this character react, as opposed to a different character reacting in the same situation? Those kinds of questions, which are very acting 101 type questions. So I tell people, take acting classes, take improv classes, all the classes that you can get your hands on that open up your creative mind. And then once you have some of those things under your belt, you can move on to demo stage. So you have to put together a demo. You have to then get an agent. And joining the union is always a piece of it. But it can be a long process. But if you are motivated and tenacious, we'll get back to that word, you can absolutely do it and be successful.
Okay, that's actually really good. Yeah, you did good.
Hey.
Hey, I'm trying to okay. I know there was a question I was going to ask you. Oh yeah. So I've started doing these things where I have the voice actor do a few lines in a few other characters. Is that alright if we do that right quick, or is that...
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
I was just thinking, could you say hello viewer in... I'll name a character, could you do it in that voice?
Okay.
You got one line I want you to say?
Hello viewer?
Yeah, that's basically what you said. Something simple, so that way you don't have to, complicate it, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Alright, so first voice. Let's start with something that most people don't know. Jazz from Danny Phantom.
Hello, viewer.
Could you do Tails?
Hello, viewer.
Could you still do the Paw Patrol? No, not the Paw Patrol. The Azula Patrol one, or is that too old?
Let's see. Wizzy was super high. Hello, viewer. Somewhere up there. She was super crazy high. And then Zeter. Hello, viewer.
And then I'm gonna look at it order you can do that. Could you do some Wasp?
Wasp. Hello, viewer. Hello, viewer. I have to find her. She's so sarcastic, but close enough.
Yeah. Could you do some of the Digimon voice?
Digimon, digital monsters. Sora. Hello, viewer. Hello, viewer.
I'm sorry, you cannot imagine the smile on my face right now. I'm trying to look at exactly. So you said you're in Toy Story 3. What voices did you do in Toy Story 3?
Toy Story 3, I was part of what's called the additional voices. So this is the most fun day ever. Is you get to go into Disney. It's almost like Disney Studios on the it's like Disneyland, and it's just magical. You get to drive on the lot, and that's one of the days where you're actually there for 8 hours, and you're there with a whole group of hilarious people in the studio. So you have this group of voice actors in the studio. We cover all of the crowd stuff, and then every once in a while there's an individual line here or there that they need to fill. Either have a sort of audition on the spot, like they'll have say it's a female role, they'll have all the ladies in the room, and then we won't even know until we see it sometimes, who they ended up using, which is kind of interesting. So in Toy Story 3, I actually did have a couple of standout lines, but you have to really listen for them. There's a part when they're in the daycare center. The toys are like sneaking around, and there's some moms in the hallway, and I'm one of the moms. And if you listen really close, you can tell which one is me, and I'm laughing a couple of times. So I think that's the main. I'd have to watch it again. It's been so long, but that's the main part where you can actually hear me specifically. But other than that, I'm mostly mooshed in with the rest of the group. Same with Cars and but Monsters University, there's actually quite a few places where you can hear me, little call out lines here and there. So
I'm looking at your IMDb page, just trying to make sure I got all the voices and whatnot. And it says you were in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
that is a mistake because I was never on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I'm not sure how that ended up on my page. It's not IMDb is not always 100% accurate.
I understand. I trust you. I'm just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I was not. I admit it. I don't know, and I don't know how to get that off of there, or fix it or whatever. But somehow I don't know how I got mixed up with somebody else. But there it is. I was not on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Don't you just love how you're just completely honest about it? It's like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was not on it. Alright, is there anything you would like to say to the viewer before we go? Anything you would like to add? Anything you would like to comment on? Anything?
I just would like to say thank you. Thank you to anyone who is a fan. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for following me on Twitter if you're following me on Twitter. And if you're not, please do so. And thank you, Red, for this interview. It was lovely.
Thank you. But I think that's all the questions I have, especially just everything. I wanted to thank you very much for coming on, and thank you very much for having your input and stuff.
Absolutely.
And guys, I think that's it for this video.